Okay, so a few days ago, I noticed how often I was reusing cards for various strategies. So, because I'm a lazy coconut, I'm going to create a series of videos that highlight a particular strategy that I can reference to in future videos. This is so I don't have to reuse the same cards over and over in each video. And at the same time, create a space in all future deck techs where the viewer can choose, well, you can choose from a bunch of options rather than just following my suggestions for a deck. In this first episode, I'll be talking about the most common cards in the Aristocrat strategy for Magic and include its general strategy. I'm only including a few examples here so the video doesn't get outdated. There's a link in the description to the full deck list of Aristocrat cards that I can update as new cards are released that work for the Aristocrat strategy. The primary goal of an Aristocrat strategy is to sacrifice your own creatures or permanents for value. So, sack outlets are our first group of cards. These cards simply let you sacrifice creatures for free for various effects, but the true value is when other cards are on the field that benefit from those creatures dying. Ashnod's Altar sacks creatures for mana. Fanatical Devotion sacks creatures to regenerate another creature. Viscera Seer sacks creatures to scry, and Goblin Bombardment sacks creatures to zap targets for 1 damage. Of course, there are several more cards that have different effects, but I'm sure you get the idea by now. Greater Good is a green enchantment that lets you sack a creature to draw cards equal to its power, then you discard 3 cards. This one requires a bit of finesse to use effectively, but can not only fit the Aristocrats theme, but a reanimation theme as well. Some sack outlets require mana or tapping, but can offer a more powerful effect for the price. These generally aren't fantastic for Aristocrat strategies because you want to be able to sacrifice a lot of creatures whenever you want. But some cards, like Ghoul-Caller Gisa, will let you sack a creature to make more creatures that can be sacrificed. The strength of these single sack effects are completely dependent on what you're trying to do with your deck. The next group of cards are, of course, our pingers. These are cards that will make opponents lose life or be dealt damage whenever your creatures or permanents die. Zulaport Cutthroat will hit each opponent and you gain life. Judith the Scourge Diva will only trigger off of non-token creatures, so this works best in a non-token Aristocrat strategy. And then Mayhem Devil will trigger when any player sacrifices any permanent. These are often the win cons of the Aristocrat strategy and really shouldn't be on the field unless you're ready to activate them and win the game. Teysa Karlov and Drivnod Carnage Dominus are cards that double those death triggers though, and are probably worth a slot if you have them since they double the effectiveness of this strategy. Now, before I go on, if you like what you've seen so far, why don't you like the video and sub to the channel? It'll help get the video out to more people who like it, and help the channel grow at the same time. Thanks. The third group of cards are the ones that draw us more cards when our creatures die. Grim Haruspex will trigger off of non-token creatures like Judith, but will refill your hand in the event of a board wipe. Moldervine Reclamation is a great option for the strategy if you're in green, and Weatherlight Completed is great after 4 creatures have died already, but the first 4 triggers will still let you scry 1. Though it can go in any deck, it might be most effective in token Aristocrat strategies. Edict effects will make you lose friends, but they're very effective cards in this Aristocrat strategy. When your creatures die, your opponents must sacrifice a creature. Right now, I only know of 4 of these cards: Butcher of Malakir, Dictate of Erebos, Grave Pact, and Martyr's Bond. If there are more, please let me know. There are a handful of instances and sorceries that I like to use in the Aristocrat strategy as well. They all have an additional cost of sacrificing a creature and will either destroy something or draw you cards. Plumb the Forbidden is my favorite even though I don't have a copy, since you can hold up mana in case of a board wipe, letting you sack all of the creatures that would die and drawing cards instead. But you lose life for each one, so be careful with that one. There are a few cards that will make treasure tokens when your creatures die as well. Pitiless Plunder is the best one, but Mahadi makes treasures at your end step for however many creatures died that turn. And then Life Insurance will trigger for non-token creatures. And finally, there are some weird cards that benefit from sacrificing creatures, but require a different primary strategy, with Aristocrats being a sub-theme. Riveteer's Ascendancy says whenever you sack a creature, you may return a target creature with lesser mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Do this only once each turn. So obviously it works with Aristocrats, but to really benefit from it, you'd want to build around a reanimation strategy a bit more than the Aristocrat strategy. But pairing this card up with Greater Good could be a phenomenal way to make that work. So that's the Aristocrat strategy in a nutshell, along with a few examples of it. Once again, there's a link to a full deck list that I'll update over time with more cards that can be used in the Aristocrat strategy, so check that out if you're looking for more examples and ideas. Let me know if this helped you out in the comments below, and please let me know if there are any cards I didn't think of that need to go into this list. So until next time, like the video if you liked the video, dislike it if you disliked it, and until next time, I'm Space Coconut, and you're welcome.